Good morning. On behalf of the mayor and the police commissioner and members of our executive staff, we welcome you to this part of your formal hiring process for the official swearing in. It's indeed my pleasure now to introduce members of the dais that are assembled with us. I would ask that you please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Seated on my right and in the first row, the Chief of Detective, Robert Boyce, Chief of Housing Bureau, James Secreto, the Police Commissioner of the City of New York, the Honorable William J. Bratton, the Mayor of the City of New York, the Honorable Bill de Blasio, First Deputy Police Commissioner Ben Tucker, Deputy Commissioner for Personnel Michael Julian, the Executive Officer of the Police Academy Inspector Richard D., the Commanding Officer of the Police Cadet Corps Inspector Michael McGrath. Seated in our second row, Supervising Chief Surgeon Dr. Eli Kleiman, the Commanding Officer of the Cadet Assessment Division Assistant Chief Kim Royster, Commanding Officer of the Police Academy Assistant Chief Teresa Shortell, Commanding Officer, Applicant Processing Division, Deputy Inspector Michael Barreto, and the President of Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, Patrick Lynch. Morning. Officers, is our days. We thank you for being here. And it is indeed my honor to introduce the Mayor of the City of New York, the Honorable Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, recruits.
Good morning, sir.
All right, good. Lively group. Now, I want to thank, first of all, Lieutenant Giorgio, who does these ceremonies so well. Thank you, Lieutenant, for your leadership. Recruits, I want to tell you it is an honor to be here with you this morning. 678 of you joining the finest police force in this nation, the finest police force on this earth. This is an extraordinary moment for each and every one of you in your lives, for your families. But it's a great moment for New York City as well, to have you joining in such crucial work. I want you to know you are joining a winning team. You're joining a winning team that has been doing extraordinary things. For over 20 years, the NYPD has made this city safer and safer. It's now a known fact. It's something talked about all over the country, all over the world. We are the safest big city in America. And you now get to take that winning tradition and build upon it. Progress is being made each and every day, but it takes new blood, it takes new talent to take that and make it even greater. That's where you come in. And we are very proud of you and very appreciative that you have made this decision to protect and to serve the people of New York City. I want you to know a winning team, you can tell several characteristics. A winning team is talked about as a model, as an example. You know the NYPD is talked about everywhere. I talk to mayors all over the country, and they want to know how the NYPD does it. They constantly want to come to New York and visit. They want to see CompStat. They want to see all the things that work in New York and figure out how they can do it too. And you know a winning team by their record. This last summer, an extraordinary accomplishment, the safest summer in New York City in over 20 years. June, July, and August put together. Safest summer in over 20 years because of the work of the men and women of the NYPD, working more closely than ever with community members in partnership to keep us safe. Last year, the fewest murders in half a century in this city, because the NYPD is not only the best, but getting better all the time. So that's a winning team by any definition, and now you will make it even better. Let me acknowledge and thank everyone here on the dais, but I particularly want to single out Commissioner Bratton. When I told you about all those mayors who talked to me, well, they are particularly focused on CompStat. And they want to understand how such an extraordinary change happened in this city and then how it continues to get better all the time. Well, Commissioner Bratton deserves such credit for having shown us now over 2 decades ago that we could make a big and profound change in how we police and how we bring success to every corner of this city. If you study the history, and I urge you to do so, there were a lot of naysayers. I'm sure Commissioner Bratton's put all of them out of his mind by now, but there were many naysayers at the time that said CompStat wasn't going to work. New York City couldn't be made safe. There were many people who didn't believe that innovation would work. And now, 20-plus years later, the numbers speak for themselves. The safety you can feel in so many of our neighborhoods speaks for itself. The fact that the innovation continues. One thing I appreciate deeply about the Commissioner and this leadership team is they never rest on their laurels. I can tell you from all the meetings we have, every week there's always discussion, what's the next thing, the next big change, the next big innovation, the next big reform. That is the Mark II of a winning team. I want to thank Commissioner Bratton. I want to thank First Deputy Commissioner Tucker and all of the leadership here today. Why don't you give them another round of applause for all they do? And I also want to thank someone who represents you in all the work you do, the president of the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, Pat Lynch. Pat, thank you very much for being here. Now, we made a decision in this city back in June. There was a long discussion, and a decision was made, and I want to give the City Council their credit and Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, working together with our administration, working together with Commissioner Bratton, we made the determination to add to this police force. And so, together, we added 1,300 new officers to an already great police force. 1,300 new officers who will start to have an impact on this city in 2016 in a very big way, I believe, because a new generation of police officers will bring with them not only the best talent, but now the best training, the best insights into how to do this work. Every new generation brings us even more. You are going to be part of that history. You're going to be part of bringing even more to this police force and taking us to places we have not yet been. Now, again, if anyone asks the question, well, how can you go even farther? I remind you again of what happened back in 1994 and all the people who said it was not possible to make the changes and reach new goals. I think the way to greatness is to always believe there's something better around the corner. There's something we haven't yet seen. You're going to be part of that change. You're going to be part of reaching higher. You answered the call. And I always say with events like this, it's a rare person who answers the call. Just think about it. I'm sure you know plenty of friends, family members, folks you went to school with who were great people but wouldn't have had the particular makeup to answer this call. They might want to do a lot of good things in the world, but they wouldn't have necessarily had the strength and the character to make this decision, take on this challenge. People respect and admire each and every one of you for stepping up and being ready to protect people no matter what's thrown at you. And you know about New York City. The one thing you can expect each and every day out on those streets, the one thing you can expect is the unexpected. But you know that, and you're ready for that. Tough job, yes, but one of the most gratifying because you will always see the fruits of your labor. You will always know what you've done for your fellow New Yorker. You'll see the lives that you saved, the people you protected, tragedies you averted. You'll see the families, the children, who you changed the trajectory of their lives. You will see lives that were different and better because you were there at that moment. I can't think of anything more compelling to devote your life to. This police department continues to reach every New Yorker. One of the great things about the NYPD is every corner of this city is served with such energy, with such focus. One of the things that this class represents is a police department drawing from all of the talent of every great neighborhood, all of our proud immigrant traditions who have made this city great. We are the ultimate city of immigrants, and by the way, we're one of the most successful cities in the history of the world. Everyone's looking to New York City right now. We remind them this city is great because it's a city built upon wave of folks who came and brought their talent from all over the world. So this class is one of the most diverse in the history of New York City. Recruits in this class hail from 36 different countries and speak 22 different languages. Reflects the totality of this great city. 20% of this class is female, nearly 10% Asian, 13% African American. And one thing I truly appreciate about this class, people bring a lot of different experiences. And one of the most powerful experiences a number of you bring. 60 of you have served in our armed forces. And let's give a round of applause to all of them and thank them. So, people of so many backgrounds, so many experiences with a common thread, ready to serve. A powerful common thread. Each of you has a story that brought you here. Each of you, again, you're different. Something separated you from everyone else because you were willing to step forward. Each of you has a story that made you different. Let me give you one. One of the people sitting here today, Natasha Velez, granddaughter of retired police officer Miguel Velez. Her grandfather was shot in a brutal incident in 1962. He survived, thank God, and he went on for 20 more years to proudly serve in the NYPD. Now Natasha is carrying on that family tradition and making this police force better. Think about that. You see something, a tragedy befall a family member, and the strength of her grandfather determining to stay on the police force and continue to protect people. That now handed down to his granddaughter. That's a great example of the kind of character in this class. Let's give Natasha a round of applause. And I should note that she is among the 32% of this class who are Latino and Latina, the highest percentage ever for an NYPD recruit class. Again, more and more reflecting all the greatness of this city. So you understand the commitment it takes, you understand there will be sacrifice, there will be challenges, but you understand the extraordinary rewards, you understand that you're carrying on an unparalleled legacy, and you're now part of a new era. There's something exciting about joining a winning team, there's also something exciting about building a new history, building a new chapter. This era is going to be defined by a philosophy that we are safest when police and community are closest, when that bond is deepest. That when our police both protect and respect the community and the community protects and respects the police, that's the sweet spot. That's the transcendent moment that we have been reaching for. That police leaders and police forces all over the country are more and more moving toward. That partnership, that bond. So you will be trained in the newest approaches, in the most modern approach to policing. You will be trained in the most sophisticated way to really achieve neighborhood policing. It's something, again, that's been reached for years and years in many places, but you're going to be part of the generation that achieves it. That full connection between neighborhood and police. People are going to see everything you do as a continuation of their lives in their community, and they're going to feel a connection to you, sense that they need to understand what you need too, to give you the information you need to be your colleagues in the work of keeping them safe. I have great faith that this approach is going to work, and I have particular faith because this extraordinary facility and the great people who work here are so able to help you learn to be the best. And I have great faith because this commissioner has shown us time and time again, when you reach for the stars, what amazing things can happen. You will be the ones to take us to this new era. And you will be heroes because you're going to prove that there's even something greater we can reach. Keep this city safe. Help us make it safer. Be an example of a simple concept. Safer streets through stronger bonds. Safer streets through stronger bonds between police and community. Makes all the sense in the world, but you will be the ones to prove it's so possible, and we're going to reach it. With that, it is my distinct honor to now issue to you the oath of office.
Ready, move!
I do hereby pledge, I'm sorry, I should say repeat after me. I do hereby pledge and declare.
I do hereby pledge and declare.
To uphold the Constitution of the United States.
To uphold the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And faithfully discharge my duties.
And faithfully discharge my duties.
As a New York City police officer.
As a New York City police officer.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, recruits, and God bless you all.
Ready, front, take seats.
And thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Officers, welcome to the team. It's indeed now my pride and privilege to introduce the Police Commissioner of the City of New York, the Honorable William J. Bratton.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your remarks. Thank you for your support. Thank you for these young men and women who today took a sacred oath. You would not be here today, any of you, if not for the work of this man, this mayor, the support of the City Council, the advocacy of many who understand that this police department needed to grow. So by the end of the year 2016, first time in 15 years, we will have grown by not 1,297 officers, but by almost 2,000. As an addition to the 1,297 additional officers, of which you are the first, the 678 of you, you'll be joined by another class that will come in the end of December, and then you'll be joined by another class that will come in June of 2016 that will graduate at the end of 2016. There'll be the 1,297, but in addition, we are going to hire 400 more civilians who will allow 400 officers who are currently working administrative duties to return to the streets. We're also in the process of hiring 500 new cadets that will give us the equivalent of about 200 additional officers as they go about the work that they will perform. Coupled with the 200 officers that we returned to street duty last year with the addition of 200 civilians, we will have grown the police department effectively by about 2,000 additional officers in the streets of New York City. Implementing the new pilot policing program that your chief of department, James O'Neill, is currently creating, that you will be a major part of as you go out into the precincts of this city in 6 months. Chief O'Neill would have liked to have been here this morning, but as you'll find very quickly, we are a very large department, and in any given day, we're doing a lot of things. Chief O'Neill and much of the command staff are today, it's Thursday morning, They are where they always are on Thursday morning. They're at Compstat. Compstat, which you will learn about, the engine that drives this department, the engine that places you where you are needed most to deal with crime, to deal with disorder, to deal with community needs. There are 8.5 million New Yorkers in this city, and they need you. They want you. They understand how important you are to them. Some do not. Those are the criminals. And you will have to deal with them. You will have to face them. We will, to the best of our ability, the growing ability that we have as exhibited by this $750 million training academy that you are entering. You are the first class to be sworn in this facility. But it's not just a building. It is a learning entity. It is where for the next 6 months we will do all in our power to give you everything you will need to do your job successfully, to do them in a way in which you can take great pride and satisfaction that your life, the life that you are committing to undertake today for at least the next 20 years, and hopefully beyond that. And beyond that, many of you may be sitting here with this executive staff sometime in the future. That life is one that counts. It is a life of significance, if you make it that way. We will give you the opportunity, but ultimately it's up to each and every one of you to make the most of the opportunity that you have now being given. But it's an opportunity that you've earned. None of you would be here if you did not have the high qualifications that we require. The college background, the military background, the psychological capabilities, the physical capabilities to do the increasingly complex job of being a police officer in America in the 21st century. There has never been a time in the history of this country, of this city, in which the complexities that you will face have been more significant and more complex. We are constantly adjusting the training regimen. 6 months that you will experience will be different than the 6 months that the predecessors that you see in this building today in the gray uniforms are experiencing, and very different than the experiences of those you see in the blue uniforms who are currently New York City police officers. Why? Because we need to constantly change with the times, to equip you with the skills, the technologies, to deal with the many complexities that you will face. 45 years ago yesterday, October 7th, one day after my 23rd birthday, I had the privilege of raising my hand in a ceremony very similar to this in the city of Boston. Take the oath of office as a Boston Police patrolman. That's what my badge said, badge 1190, patrolman. Because in the Boston Police Department of that day, indeed the New York City Police Department of that day, the American police departments of that day, in my case, in Boston, there were no women. There were no openly identified gays. There were very few minorities in a city that at that time was 25% minority. My class of 155, largely military veterans because of veterans' preference in the civil service exam, there were only 3 minorities, 2 black, 1 Latino, in a city of 25% minority. The first woman did not come into the department until I think 1978. One of those women was one of my successors as police commissioner in the city of Boston. Times have changed. You are joining a department that is openly proud of our gay officers, of our transsexual officers, of our minority officers, of our women. Times have changed so much for the better. Let me reinforce the statistics the mayor gave you this morning to reinforce what you are and what you mean to the city of New York. Because you are the city of New York. You are the New York region. Because we don't just protect the city of New York, we protect the region. The economic vitality of this tri-state area, indeed of this country. As we keep New York safe, particularly in this era of terrorism, we keep the country safe. So the obligation of the oath you just took extends just beyond keeping the city of New York safe, because we remain the #1 terrorist target in the world and will remain so. You are also taking on obligations to well beyond many of your predecessors in terms of what they had to deal with. But you are equipped to do it. You would not be sitting in those chairs if we did not feel that you have the right stuff. And who are you? Well, there's 678 of you. 139 of you are female, 20%. 314 are white, 46%. 86 of you are black, 12.6%. 218 of you are Hispanic, 32%, the largest number of Hispanics ever in any one of our classes. 60 of you are Asian, 8.8%. As the mayor referenced, 150 of you are foreign born. We are a city of immigrants, and you are evidence of that. 228 of you speak foreign languages, 22 foreign languages. We desperately need that to deal with our growing immigrant population, but also to deal with the threats of terrorism that we deal with. We need language proficient officers to help us in those cases also. 60 of you are military background, 27 haven't served overseas. 59% of you are New York City residents. Something not known about our department is the majority of our officers reside in the city of New York. 41% of you live in the surrounding counties. Your average age is 26. I had to think about that this morning, 26. I first came to the city of New York as chief of transit police in 1990, 25 years ago. That means that most of you were not even born when I first began my time here with the NYPD. But thinking about that age of 26 and you just about to start your careers, I can guarantee that there's not one of us down here that in some respects don't wish, and don't you wish, whether it's Patty Lynch or the leadership, God would give anything to be able to do it all over again. As in my case, 45 years, it's been a great ride and continues to be, but boy, do I envy you because you're just about to start yours. There is no profession in this country from which you can derive so much satisfaction as the profession that you have chosen. It's taken most of you 2, 3, and sometimes 4 years of waiting and trying to get on this job. Make the most of it over these next 20 or 30 or maybe even 40 years, this department. We will give you that opportunity. We will give you that opportunity to do great things, to do heroic things. We'll give you the opportunity day in and day out to do ordinary things that police officers do every day. Seize the opportunity, embrace it, welcome it. Because if you do, at the end of that career, you look back and say, I counted for something. I helped to make change. And how do I know? I look at this city today, New York City of 2015, and I look at the city of New York of 1990. They are two totally different cities. And the principal reason that it is such a different city, and I'm speaking of the public safety of the city, is your predecessors, the men and women over these last 25 years and many who came before them, who committed to making change, who committed to upholding that Constitution that forms the basis of your oath, who committed to doing the right thing for all the right reasons. And let me close with this, an admonition, if I may. Last night, about 10:30 in the evening, 3 of our officers, anti-crime officers, some of you will have those assignments sometime in the future, were doing what they do. They were on patrol in the area of the city that has more than its share of crime. And they do what cops do. They saw something that attracted their attention. They went toward it. And in a split second, they were in the midst of a gun battle with several armed felons. Started shooting at them before they could even get out of their vehicle. They didn't run away. They went toward the danger. They faced the danger. Engaged in a shootout that, fortunately, as of this morning, the 3 suspects involved in that shootout with several guns in custody, and the 4th individual who provided assistance afterwards. An example of this job, you never know. You never know from moment to moment the risks, the dangers that you might have to face. And you will not have the luxury that the 8.5 million people that you protect have to run away from it. You're going to have to go toward it. Even if you're afraid, even if you're uncertain, you have to go toward it. We will train you how to do that. We will give you every skill, every piece of equipment that we have the capability to acquire for you. Another area where the mayor has been extraordinarily supportive is the budgeting for this department. There has never been a time in the history of this department in which so much is being given to us for our technology, our equipment, our facilities, and our training. All of it essential to allow you in that split second to save your lives and save the lives of others. And lastly, an admonition. I talked at the beginning, I have, as Commissioner, good days and bad days. The vast majority are good days, great days. But bad days occur. Injured officers, death of officers, crises. But one of the things that is always a bad day for me is when I have to discipline an officer for a conscious crossing of the line. You took an oath this morning, and in 6 months, when you get handed that badge for the first time, and you hold it in your hand for the first time and look at it and admire it and think of how hard you work for it, think of the oath that you took that would give you the privilege of putting it on your chest. And every time thereafter, every day of those 20 years when you put it on your chest, look at it before you do. And remind yourself of the obligation, like a doctor, to, while you wear it, to do no harm. To not violate the trust our society is giving to you. To obey the law. Not break the law, to enforce the law. To fulfill the obligation of our democratic society. The first obligation is public safety. You are the fulfillment of that obligation. You are the trusted members of our society who have the ability to take away a person's freedom, who have the ability to use force against them, and among the very, very few in our society who are authorized to take a life in the course of your duties. Sacred obligations. Must never, never violate them consciously. Those are some of the saddest days of my life when I am discharging an officer for criminal action, for malfeasance, for corruption, for brutality. I encourage each and every one of you, from this day forward, your lives have changed. You're no longer the protected, you are the protectors. You are the guardians at the gate to this great city. You are the guardians to which we all look to protect us and our families. It's a sacred trust. Thank you for your willingness to take on that responsibility. It's an awesome responsibility, but one you can take such great pride in every day, day in and day out. Welcome to the NYPD.
And thank you, Commissioner Bratton. As the mayor and the police commissioner mentioned, work hard, study hard, and we look forward to seeing you at your graduation ceremony in March. Officers, R10, hut! Members of the dais, please rise and exit to your right. Thank you.